What's up guys, and welcome to another episode, the final episode of the F1 2017 Sprint Championship. Do leave a like if you have enjoyed this series, and just like in yesterday's episode, we have got a double race. We started off in Austria and then finishing off the season in the sunset at Malaysia. So getting onto the grid now for the Austrian Grand Prix. So it is Lando Norris on pole position. He only has 2 points to his name so far this season, and he's alongside Tatiana Calderon with Matsushita in third and Nick De Vries just behind him in fourth. Then in fifth position we have Ollie Rowland all the way up to 15 points. And he's starting alongside Mick Schumacher with Antonio Giovinazzi, who has also only got 16 points this season, starting from 7th alongside the American Alexander Rossi. Then in 9th place we have Luca Giotto, who is yet to score any points since that very first race of the season in Japan. And then rounding out the top 10 is Richard Verschoor. Starting in 11th is Alfonso Celis, and he starts alongside the second Haas of Antonio Fuoco. And then we go into 13th place to Carlos Sainz, who has only actually scored a point in one of the 4 races, which happened to be a victory. And the same goes for 14th place Esteban Ocon. Starting just behind those two is Pierre Gasly in 15th place. And Dan Ticktum, who's had a very good season so far, starts in 16th. In 17th position we have Sergei Sorokin in the second Renault, and myself, I will be starting this race in 18th position, 8 points behind the championship leader Charles Leclerc, who starts on the final row of the grid alongside Pascal Wehrlein. So here we go then, the penultimate race of the season, 5 laps around the Red Bull Ring here, and it is lights out and away we go here in Austria. It's a poor start from Ticktum, who has already been passed by the Renault of Sorokin and myself. So as we go now into turn 1, it's sort of bottlenecks here into the 90-degree right-hander, but it looks as if we've made our way past Pierre Gasly, and Esteban Ocon has very much struggled off the start, and we are right on the tail of Alfonso Celis now as we go down towards turn 2, and we make a diving move up the inside, and I believe that's Richard Verschoor, who has just about got us round the outside, as has Antonio Fuoco in the Haas car. But we now go side by side as we go towards the next heavy braking zone at turn 3, and it looks as if Fuoco is going to try and get us back down the inside, and he has actually managed to successfully do that. So very, very nice move from the Italian there. And now as we go into the first left-hander on the track, and right deep into the middle sector, we're just sticking behind that Haas car, but we go very, very deep now into the next corner at turn 6. But we're going to take a look at the replay of the start. So yeah, it was Lando Norris on pole position, and again a great start from a McLaren at the start. I believe it was Norris last time as well, but it didn't materialise into a good result. And yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to stay at the front. Obviously Austria very much a power track, but yeah, to be fair, McLaren Honda haven't done too badly around here in recent years. But anyway, back to the action now at the start of lap 2. And we're going to try and go down the inside of Fuoco once again. And this time, I think we have just about managed to make the move stick. We shut the door on exit, but now we have got a whole gaggle of cars. Nick De Vries, who started from 4th position, is holding up Richard Verschoor. So we make a double overtake, and we've been punted in the back, and we've actually taken our teammate out in the process. So we have a look, and it was actually the Toro Rosso of Richard Verschoor, who has completely outbroken himself and also taken the position on us. We're fortunately only down into P11. But we've still been passed by a few cars, and our teammate Giotto is waved bye-bye to any chance of points this afternoon. So really not a good start to lap 2. But now going on to lap 3, we're going to have another look at Richard Verschoor. It's almost like a carbon copy of lap 2. So he passes Nick De Vries, and once again we're going to take a look down the inside of the McLaren driver. We're not going to show any sort of respect to Verschoor after that. But now we're side by side with De Vries, but seeing as we're on the DRS, it should be a reasonably comfortable move now as we go further into lap 3. But braking now, will we be able to make any inroads on Verschoor? That is Matsushita. No, it isn't. Sorry, it's Calderon who has gone wide there, which has opened the door to the cars ahead. But now she is still going slowly and trying to be passed by Antonio Fuoco for P7. Verschoor has been caught up in all of that. Again, there's a little bit of contact, but not really my fault that time out. But yeah, as we start lap 4, we make the move on Richard Verschoor by the looks of it, as Giotto actually sets the fastest lap of the race. There's contact there, and we take advantage of it and get ahead of Tatiana Calderon for P8 in this Grand Prix. So currently we've got 4 points in the bag, and it looks as if we're going to have to once again try and overtake Fuoco, who is going for a move now on Matsushita, the second Sauber car. So they are going side by side as we go now into the second sector. Fuoco, though, does have the inside line as we go into the next heavy braking zone at turn 3, and he has got the move done there, and we managed to go down the inside of Matsushita and also taking a look at Fuoco. This has been a relentless Grand Prix. Really, really good track for the reverse grid racing is Austria. By the looks of it, but yeah, we stick behind Fuoco, and once again we just sort of outdo ourselves there into turn 6 and through turn 7. But yeah, we go now on to lap 5, and that is the final DRS zone really that we will be able to make a move on Fuoco. So it doesn't look as if we're going to get any further up than P7. Now I believe Lando Norris has actually managed to have a pretty good race, which is why there's a few cars sort of tailing each other. But now going through the final corner, we have another Ferrari victory. It was Charles Leclerc that took victory last episode. This time it's Antonio Giovinazzi. He's had a tough season so far, but there we go, P2 for Lando Norris. What a race for the young Brit, and it's P3 for Mick Schumacher, so pretty good race for the Force India team in what has been a difficult season for him so far. But we go down around there, the final corner, try and brake as late as possible. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work, but it is still a 5th consecutive points finish. It's P7 for us, and yeah, we're going to be starting a long way back for the final race in Malaysia. But there you can see, victory for Ferrari, and a very happy looking Ferrari team. So there we go. Antonio Giovinazzi, the second Ferrari winner of the season. So far we've had 2 Ferrari wins, 2 Mercedes wins, and a Red Bull win. So yeah, pretty much status quo to be honest. But there you can see Lando Norris, very, very good P2. And Roland, Rossi and Fuoco round out the top 6. So again, good races for them, with Matsushita also scoring some valuable points. Only 1 point for Mercedes this afternoon, and that went to Esteban Ocon, who finished just ahead of his teammate by less than half a second. Our teammate Luca Giotto, pretty unfortunate in what happened, so only P20 for him. But I guess you could say justice was served in the sense that Richard Verschoor didn't score any points this afternoon. And now as we go on to the championship standings, you'll be able to see Antonio Giovinazzi leads by 1 point going into the final race. So it's going to be difficult for either of the Ferrari cars to get any sort of points. So we're going to be looking way down the order probably for a winner in this last race. And yeah, there you can see we're sitting in P3, so it's going to be a P18 start for the Malaysian Grand Prix. But really, you know, you're looking right down the order to Luca Giotto. Anywhere from Giotto upwards can win the championship. So we've got 17 drivers in with a chance of winning this championship. So I can't wait to see what it's got in store. And here we go then. It is the finale in Malaysia, the Sepang International Circuit. And yeah, we've got sunset conditions for this race. There you can see Charles Leclerc starting right from the back, and Alexander Rossi there starting from P14. So getting now into the grid, we can see starting on pole position is Tatiana Calderon alongside Nobuharu Matsushita. So once again, an all-Sauber front row. And it's only those two and Nick De Vries, who started in 3rd position, that can't actually win the championship, with my teammate Luca Giotto starting in 4th, who is somehow still in with a chance of winning. In P5, it is Richard Verschoor alongside Lando Norris, who had a good race last time out. And Alfonso Celis starting in P7 has got a good chance, as does Carlos Sainz. You'd probably say Sainz at the moment is probably the favourite for the victory. And Pierre Gasly as well in with a good shot, as is Esteban Ocon. Those two round out the top 10. Then we've got Dan Tickton starting alongside Ollie Rowland on the 6th row of the grid. Starting on row 7 are Sergei Sorokin and Alexander Rossi. They are on 28 points each so far. And just behind them are Mick Schumacher and Antonio Fuoco. And then we have Pascal Wehrlein, myself, Charles Leclerc and Antonio Giovinazzi rounding out the grid. So here we go then, the final race of the season. It's going to be a tall order for us to score good points and win the championship. We're going to give it a go, and it is 5 red lights, and away we go. Pascal Wehrlein gets a decent start. Mick Schumacher has an awful start and pretty much finishes any championship chances that he had. But now going into turn 1, you can see, oh my word, Schumacher races up the inside. And yeah, pretty much debunks anything that I just said. But we're trying to go around the outside now into turn 2. Very much a snail section, this first part of track. But now we sort of have the long drag up to the end of the first sector, and we're trying to go past Ollie Rowland and Lando Norris, and we managed to do so up into P12, and now we're going side by side with Mick Schumacher, but we have to bail on at that move. So a pretty good start from 18th up to 12th, and can't really complain about that, as we have to get out of the throttle there in the middle of sector 2. But now we're going to take a look at a replay of the start to see how the Sauber drivers and Nick De Vries got on, and there you can see actually Luca Giotto getting a decent start, already getting past Matsushita. But Calderon held the lead into turn 1. And then you've got Alfonso Celis, who has had a great start. And at the moment, you'd probably say he's in with the best chance of getting the victory, because he's currently in P2 by the looks of it, or possibly P3. But yeah, very good start from Celis, as has Giotto. So probably those two are in prime position to take the victory in the championship. And now we go back to myself in P12 at the moment, just behind Mick Schumacher. We were thinking about making a move there into the final corner as Schumacher then locks up, but we just we weren't opportunistic enough to try and make the move, as Tatiana Calderon actually holds the lead at the end of lap 1. But now surely we're going to make a move down the inside of Schumacher into the sort of the glaring sunlight into turn 1. So we go for the move down the inside, but looks as if Schumacher is going to try and hold his line. So we're going to have to go all the way around the outside if we want to make the move, as the hand of anger then goes up. But we are actually past Schumacher now into P11. And yeah, only one position off a points-paying position, and that is occupied by a certain Dan Tickton, a fellow Brit who is just behind Matsushita at the moment. So yeah, going to be difficult for those two, obviously, to be scoring points this afternoon. Not in the quickest cars on the grid, but there you see getting out of the turbulent wake as we want to try and go down the inside of Tickton now in the middle sector. A daring move, but one that we probably had to make if we have any chance of winning this championship. So we go up into P10, and now we are behind Matsushita as Schumacher also gets through on Tickton. And now we take a look up at the front of the grid. You can see Calderon, who's had a pretty good start, but at the end of lap 2, it looks as if Giotto is very much dropped off the pace, and Alfonso Celis takes advantage of that, and he goes down the inside into the final corner and takes the lead of the championship going into the start of lap 3. So he is very much the one to watch in terms of the championship standings, and there you can see he sets the fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly. But currently we're struggling to make any sorts of inroads on the top 8 because we're being held up by Matsushita, and we're in that middle sector. And now we're going to try and go down the inside, but he tries to hold the inside line. This is just holding us up more and more, and we can't get past Matsushita at the start of lap 3. And once again, we're on the drag up to the end of sector 1. We're going to try and go down the inside. We currently have track position. It depends on how late we're going to brake, and Matsushita brakes very late. He's trying to go around the outside. We made a little bit of contact there, and he is back up into P9. This is just completely shooting ourselves in the foot in terms of the championship. We cannot even get past the Sauber, which is a little bit embarrassing. And there you can see Celis striding off into the lead. But P2 very much up for grabs in terms of the top 8. I mean, I'm probably not going to have any sort of chance, although we do manage to make our way past Matsushita at the end of lap 3. And unfortunately, we couldn't make any more inroads, and coming around the final corner, Celis was under pressure from Giotto, but Giotto just can't make a move on him, and Alfonso Celis comes across the line to win the Sprint Championship. Brilliant stuff from him. And now we go back to our point of view, and we can see ourselves coming through the final corner. And it's going to be a disappointing and only P9 for us. Nick De Vries there in P8 scoring some more points. But yeah, I guess you couldn't really say that we blew it. But not a great end to the season. I think the moral of the story is be in prime position, ready for the final race to pounce. And that is exactly what the Force India team did. They take victory here today, and Salis has come from absolutely nowhere to win the championship. I think he was in about 13th or 14th position at the start of the race, but there you can see the final race results. Salis ahead of Giotto and Gasly, who also had a pretty decent race. Pascal Wehrlein from 17th up to 4th. If we could have done what he did, then who knows, we might have done a little bit better. But yeah, as we take a look now at the bottom half of the grid, just to see how the order rounds out. So Ocon, no points for him. Norfolk, Leclerc or Giovinazzi, they only made up 2 positions each, so pretty poor race from them. Couldn't even get past the likes of Matsushita and Sorokin. With also, who else is down there? Fuoco and obviously Lando Norris, who had just a stinker of a race, and not a great season for the Brit bar last race. So yeah, there you can see the final championship standing. So if we had have done what Pascal Wehrlein did, that would have just been enough to win the championship. So Wehrlein finishes on 44 points. We finish on 40, down in 6th, with our teammate following us home in P7. And now you can see the bottom half of the order. So yeah, it's still the McLarens and Saubers at the bottom, but Esteban Ocon only actually managed 16th position, so that was pretty baffling to see. But guys, that just about concludes this episode and this series as well. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. I'll be back with a brand new series next week, but until then guys, do take care. I'll see you then. Bye bye.